WWL-TV, Channel 4, New Orleans. Bill Elder and Dawn Westbrook with weather. This is Louisiana's news leader, Channel 4's Eyewitness News.
Good afternoon. This is the 12 o'clock news for a Friday, January the 24th. Well, an Eyewitness News poll that shows that most New Orleans voters are opposed to the controversial Mardi Gras anti-discrimination law is drawing mixed reviews from officials at City Hall. Dave McNamara spoke with the city council members, or at least two of them, who have opposing views about this ordinance and our poll.
Well, according to pollster Silas Lee, who conducted the Eyewitness News poll, the numbers show that blacks and whites here in the city have similar views on the Mardi Gras anti-discrimination law. But the poll drew very different reactions from two city council members today. The exclusive Eyewitness News poll shows that a great majority of New Orleans voters, both black and white, are opposed to the Mardi Gras ordinance. 60% of voters are against the new law, only 24% favor it. Two city council members who have been at opposite ends of the debate over the Mardi Gras ordinance had very different reactions to the Channel 4 poll today.
If you had sold slaves during slavery, they would say, we like the way it is. They didn't know any other way. I mean, when you're in a setting and you become accustomed, it's very difficult to even foresee any other ways out. So I respect their opinions. I respect their response to the poll.
I think it tells the city council we're meddling in the wrong business, that we should not be dealing in constitutional law and privacy. We should not be tampering with tradition. We should be getting the criminals off the streets instead of trying to put our carnival captains in jail.
The Eyewitness News poll, conducted during the past week by political pollster Silas Lee, shows that 3/4 of the voters feel the anti-discrimination law is an invasion of privacy. Also, more than 2/3 of black voters surveyed agreed with the statement that carnival crews are a tradition and they like Mardi Gras the way it is. We also spoke with Mayor Bartholomew this morning about the poll results, and he says perhaps the Blue Ribbon Committee on Mardi Gras, which was appointed yesterday, will be able to deal with some of the concerns that voters now have with that controversial new law. Yep.
So you think this poll might impact what decision they come up with in 2 weeks?
Well, it certainly gives the city council a better reading of how the voters feel, because from what we've heard, there was no real polling done in advance of the ordinance. Council members who are strongly in favor of it said that we believe right is right regardless of what other people may think, and that's their reason for pushing it. Others think that, as you heard Jackie Clarkson say, that we're really dabbling in the wrong business here.
All right, thank you, Dave. Well, Governor Edwin Edwards comes to New Orleans to make good on his pledge to cut crime in the city. And today, he met with city officials and unveiled a new crime-fighting plan. Hoda Kotb is just back from that meeting and joins us now with more from the newsroom. Hoda.
Governor Edwards says it's time the whole state got together to help out the city of New Orleans. So today he appointed a task force comprised of sheriffs from local parishes, state police, even the National Guard. He wants to see all of those departments pitch in and help out the city of New Orleans. He wants to put more lawmen on the streets, more undercover officers in high crime areas, and he even wants the National Guard to help out when necessary. He says they'll do all they can to stop the criminals.
They are organized. They are waging war on the free citizens of this city. We are organized. We're going to wage war on them. There are more of us than there are of them. We're going to win this war. We'll win the first battle. We'll win the second battle. We'll win the third battle. We'll win the last battle. And we're going to win this war.
A lot of strong words, obviously, but so far no sign of money to back up the multi-million-dollar plan. The governor hopes to get some funding from the private sector as well as from the state, so we'll have to wait and see where that money will come from, Bill.
Hoda, he talked about the National Guard. Was that serious, bringing in the National Guard to do this?
Well, he says essentially he wants the National Guard to help out in terms of equipment, maybe places to house prisoners. He was quoted as saying he didn't want the National Guard to parachute in and help save the city, but he says he will call on them as needed. All
right. Lots more to this story, I'm sure. Thank you, Hoda. Well, earlier today, Governor Edwards attended a breakfast in Metairie along with several former Louisiana governors. The event was sponsored by Governors Buddy Roemer, Dave Treen, John McKithen, and Jimmy Davis. Talking about crime, New Orleans police say a man living in the Carrollton area shot a burglary suspect to death this morning. Harold Lewis says he heard a noise in his driveway around 4 o'clock this morning and went to investigate, armed with a gun. Lewis says a man was trying to break into his car, and when the suspect spotted Lewis, allegedly warned, "Back off or I'll shoot." Well, Lewis says he then fired at the suspect, hitting him, who died a short time later. The alleged car thief turned out not to be armed. Police have a 30-year-old man also behind bars for the beating death of his sister earlier this month in Gentile. Zachary James is booked with the murder of Ginny DeQueer in her home on Demont Street. And police also say a 23-year-old man was gunned down last night on 4th Street. Ronaldo Sylvester was found lying face down in the street with several gunshot wounds. Tonight at 5 o'clock on our 5 o'clock news, we'll take an in-depth look at crime in this one neighborhood and how it impacts the parents and their children. Some of what you will see and hear is sure to shock and sadden you. That's tonight at 5. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard says it is still searching for a barge that reportedly sank in the Mississippi River this morning after it collided with a freighter. 3.5 miles of the river near the Crescent City connection are still closed to traffic. No injuries were reported in the accident. No pollutions with the pollution either. No problems, I should say. State police in South Bend, Indiana say a bus carrying the Notre Dame women's swim team crashed late last night in a snowstorm, killing 2 people. 34 others were injured in that accident. It is not known yet if the victims were team members or coaches.
I think everybody's in a little bit of a state of shock. I was at the hospital last night, and I think I'd certainly qualified there, and I'm sure there's some people that aren't even finding out about this until just this morning. So, it's just kind of a scary thing.
A mass will be held tonight at Notre Dame for the crash victims. Meanwhile, the shuttle Discovery crew is growing crystals that they hope will be perfect this afternoon. Scientists believe that normal defects may be caused by gravity and can be eliminated out in space. It is hoped the crystals can be used for medical diagnosis and therapy. Still to come on Eyewitness News at 12 noon. Major League Baseball owners consider an offer from Japan to buy an American team. And later, what Super Bowl fans have been doing in the Twin Cities all of this week.
It was a bold move that paid off almost instantly for one New Orleanian.
I never did a marketing study, as you can tell by the name, but I just added Ruth's to the front of Chris Steakhouse, so it became Ruth's Chris Steakhouse.
Locals caught on to the unusual name and soon developed a big appetite for serious steak.
I guess they come in so much because we have spoiled them all rotten, and they like it. We love it, we love taking care of them.
And as the news spread, many customers urged Ruth to begin franchising.
I can see it now. Mickey Rooney's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. I said, Mickey, the name is really Ruth's Chris. And I never heard from him again.
But franchises did open, and from a handful of tables on North Broad, the company has expanded to 30 locations, a slice of New Orleans that has become the #1 prime steakhouse in the world. We're Louisiana made, Louisiana proud. At Ruth's Chris Steakhouse and WWL-TV Channel 4.
The commissioner of Major League Baseball says the game is not ready for a Japanese owner, not yet. Baseball owners will discuss an offer today, though, by Nintendo to buy the Seattle Mariners. Faye Vincent says he doubts the owners will allow the Japanese company to take control of the team. Comments by a Japanese lawmaker about American workers and reports of the Japanese buying more and more American assets. As Bill Whitaker reports today, it's all leading to a backlash from this country that could spoil business relations with the Japanese.
The cancellation of the $122 million Sumitomo contract by Los Angeles County was big news in Tokyo. Today, the Japanese government expressed alarm at the growing U.S. anger with Japan.
I think if this sort of thing is repeated, I think it would become very difficult to maintain good business relationship.
They're worried that the rhetoric and emotions are getting out of hand. Officials of Japan's Nintendo company were shocked by the uproar over their offer to purchase the financially strapped Seattle Mariners. They said they only wanted to help. In an address to the Diet, Japan's parliament, Prime Minister Miyazawa attempted to turn down the heat, praising the U.S. and pledging to import more foreign goods. GM officials here called the Diet's plan to buy 2 Buicks a small but positive step.
I have to go out and sell them one at a time, except I guess in this case maybe we sold 2.
That would leave me with about 762 diet members left to go.
But Japanese consumers promise to be a harder sell.
The Japanese cars is a better quality than American cars.
Many here fear a brewing trade war.
It is indeed escalating. It is inevitable. We have started, and there is no power whatsoever for the time being to stop this new trend.
But Japan certainly is going to try. One official said today, insults and threats help nobody. Trade friction and protectionism hurt everybody. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Tokyo.
Still talking about business, sources say billionaire chief, or CBS chief, Lawrence Tisch has now offered to buy the debt-ridden Macy's department store chain. Tisch, who already has a substantial investment in Macy's, has reportedly proposed to pump about $1 billion into the failing retailer. If that happens, Tisch, of course, would become the dominant owner. The World Health Organization says that women are gaining on men in the number of deaths brought on by smoking. And while the number of cancer deaths among women from smoking is just 8% now, it is rising rapidly. In fact, 4 more so than for men, even though 42% of tobacco deaths are now attributed to men. Still to come on Eyewitness News at 12 noon on this Friday, Don looks at the weekend forecast. He'll be here with that right after this.
Does Mom love you more than the other kids in the family? Or did Dad spend more time with your brother than you? Sibling rivalry among adult siblings. The Angela Show is looking for you. Please call us at 523-CALL.
Well, Sydney, Australia is experiencing a heat wave, but residents there cannot get much relief from bathing in the ocean. It seems an unusually large number of sharks are lurking in the waters off Sydney's beaches. It is believed the sharks are being attracted to the shallow waters by schools of tuna. Friend, I would stay so far away from those beaches.
That would keep
that
me
water
out of the water.
Absolutely. I'm scared to death of sharks.
Might be schools of swimmers that are attracting those sharks.
Remember the movie Jaws, the original one, how scary that was?
Yeah, I wouldn't be out there.
Weather-wise, we will not be swimming in the New Orleans area this weekend.
And we're not suffering from a heat wave either.
No.
We have some cool air in here, but the really neat thing is it's dry air. Look at our conditions around the city at midday. 56 degrees now at the airport, 58 at Audubon, 60 in Slidell. Yes, sunny skies, lots of blue out there, and notice the humidity, 28%. That is not bad for us. Wind from the east at 7 miles per hour. The pressure now 30.33, and it's falling. Temperatures across the region, 54 degrees in Shreveport, Monroe 53, Alexandria 56, 59 in Lake Charles, Lafayette 55, Baton Rouge 57, 54 in Macomb, 52, that's about the coolest spot, in Jackson, 57 in Biloxi, Mobile reports 54 degrees. High pressure. That's what's affecting our weather. Actually, a ridge of high pressure all the way from the Rocky Mountains into the Gulf of Mexico. It is cool air. It's helping to give us lots of sunshine, and it is indeed drier air. This frontal system, I don't think it'll ever affect us. It looks as if it's going to slip off to the east, so we'll continue to see very nice weather right through the weekend, I think. And as for sunshine, we have plenty of it from the southwest across the Gulf Coast all the way into northern Florida. This band of clouds is the last front that came through here yesterday, still affecting central and southern Florida, but we're in the good air. In the northeastern part of the country, low pressure, low clouds, and a rather widespread snow pattern occurring there, but that's going to be moving on toward the northeast. We have a new system, some cold air coming down from Canada across the northern tier of states, and there is another rather strong low-pressure area off the Pacific Northwest, but the cloud cover has already moved ashore. The radar summary, a little mix of rain and snow in western Montana, but there is some fairly heavy snow occurring from the Ohio Valley and as far south, actually, as North Carolina and into parts of Tennessee, all the way back into New England. But for us, no rain here and none in sight. Tomorrow, we will still be influenced by high pressure over the Gulf of Mexico, and also we'll be watching this upper low off Baja California, bringing tropical Pacific moisture into Mexico. It'll be raining there tomorrow. Over the course of the weekend, it could move into Texas, but it should not affect our weekend here. For this afternoon, lots of sunshine expected to continue. Temperatures on the cool side, highs of 58 to 64, northwesterly wind at around 6 to 12 miles per hour. Sunsets at 5:31. Tonight, clear skies, going to be on the chilly side, lows of 34 to 39. Wind from the northwest continuing to decrease down to about 4 to 8 miles per hour. For tomorrow, again, sunny skies, mild temperatures up just a little bit, 62 to 67. The wind becoming west to northwest at about 8 to 15 miles per hour. Sunrise in the morning is at 6:54. For the marine forecast, doesn't look bad for today. Northerly wind out in the Gulf at around 10 to 18 knots. Seas offshore running 3 to 5 feet. A light to possibly moderate chop on the area lakes today. As for the tides, here they are. We're expecting a tide range of about 4/10 of a foot. And looking at the extended forecast, a cool weekend ahead, no rain in sight until possibly Monday or Tuesday, if then.
Boy, I like that forecast.
Not bad at all.
Earlier we were looking at rain for the weekend.
That's right, but it looks as if that upper low out over Baja is going to be just as stubborn as the last one, which held up several days.
I thought you were going to take responsibility.
None.
Thanks. Have a nice weekend. Back with more right after this. Well, in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, there's no mistaking that the Super Bowl is this weekend. But as James Sartori reports, very little of the pregame hoopla has much to do with football.
2 days before kickoff, the hip and the hype are gathering momentum for Super Bowl Sunday. Even MTV does the NFL.
Super Bowl's the biggest party of the year, really, and nobody knows how to party like MTV, so why not be here?
If inside the parties are hot, the weather has turned frigid or normal for the Twin Cities. Yesterday it was 20 below on the wind-blown Cheeks Index. Even colder for Super Bowl fans who spent some idle time speeding on snowmobiles or on less than Olympic luge-like ice slides. Noticeably absent from the hoopla are the Redskins and the Bills, who've been sequestered since Tuesday. That's when reporters spent a few hours scurrying from coach to player, seeking last-minute insight to pass on worldwide.
Arthur Montre.
One gridiron grudge match has already been settled.
The football is tails, that tails. Here's the kickoff. Touchdown.
The free-flying, fun-filled finger flick football championship, a schoolyard game elevated to adult revelry. A giant step up the participatory ladder is the NFL Experience, a traveling exhibit which debuted last night aimed at the Super Bowl wannabe. Here you can knock one through the uprights, suit up like a starter, measure up to William the Refrigerator Perry. There's an admission for this experience, but it's the only NFL ticket most fans will come near this Super Bowl weekend. James Sartori, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Now, the NAPI convention, which is wrapping up today in this town, that is the topic of the editorial with Phil Johnson.
If you were at all downtown this past week, you would have had to notice the proliferation of limousines. Limos in the quarter, limos in the business district, limos touring the garden district, limos everywhere. It was the convention that did it, the National Association of Television Program Executives. They brought in a lot of stars. Vanna White was here, Carol O'Connor, Hulk Hogan, Geraldo, Robin Leach. Good, bad, or indifferent, the stars were here. The restaurants were packed every night, and the limos drove on. It's a big convention, over 10,000 people in attendance. And as we usually do, we ask friends in attendance some questions. How did they enjoy the city? How about the convention center? How about the hotels? Did they have any problems? Well, happy to say the city and the convention center got high marks, as did the hotels and restaurants and the New Orleans food. The only problems we were told of, and we were told more than once, concerned the sidewalks leading to the convention center from Canal Street. One man said he was approached 4 times in one day walking to the convention center, approached by young men asking and some demanding money. Another, described as high on something, kept grabbing people by the arms and demanding $5 for coffee. Now, surely this is the one place where that should not happen. right on the street leading to the convention center. It frightens the ladies. It leaves a sour taste in the memories of convention goers. It should not be. Surely a policeman or two would solve the problem and make that walk to the convention center a pleasure rather than like running an obstacle course.
All right, recapping the top stories now. An Eyewitness News poll on the city's anti-discrimination Mardi Gras ordinance is drawing mixed reviews from officials at City Hall. The poll shows that most New Orleans voters oppose the ordinance. Governor Edwin Edwards says it is time that the entire state got together to help New Orleans out with its crime problem. Today, he appointed a task force to fight crime in this city. And the Coast Guard is still searching for a barge in the river near the Crescent City connection that sank last night when it collided with a ship. And that will do it for this Friday, this 12 o'clock news on a Friday. Beautiful weather-wise, Friday, January the 24th. In fact, these scenes, Don's forecast for a nice weekend. And as always, we're hoping to see you tonight at 5, 6, and 10. Thanks for joining us, and good day.